While we're in the middle of the meeting, you'd be happy to raise your hand if you have a question. And of course, if our self-advocates ask you to unmute and ask questions, that's perfectly fine. I'm Crystal. I am the North Central and the South Central Family Support Coordinator for CTFSN and newly appointed Family Support Director. So that is something that I'm very happy to be.
Yeah, I saw that.
So much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I want to welcome back my favorite people in the world, my self-advocates from the South region of Connecticut from DDS. And today they're going to be talking about human rights. And as I stated before, we could absolutely raise our hands to ask questions, or we can wait to the end to do that. That would be perfectly fine as well. Do you guys want to say anything about yourself before we get started, or shall we just jump in?
Oh, I think it would be great if they introduce themselves. Paige, why don't you start? You want me to go to Kelly? I'll go to Kelly. Kelly, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Kelly Hardigan. I have been with DDS for a long time now. I'm not exactly sure how long.
There's nothing to stop here. Check if the device is on your home Wi-Fi network.
Sorry. That's okay. Go ahead, Kelly. You can finish.
My name is Kelly Hardigan. I have been with DDS for a long time now. I'm not exactly sure how long, but I am excited to be here, and I love working for DDS. And if there are any questions for me after the presentation today, I also will take notes. I also use voiceovers for my presentations. So I pre-recorded some slides. It's actually me talking to you. I won't be talking to you through this way, but I will be talking to you through some pre-recorded recordings.
Thank you, Kelly. Go ahead, Paige. Are you ready?
I'm Paige LeBrandy. I am the Self-Advocate Coordinator for the South region and in the New Haven office. I wanted this job because I have seen how people without disabilities treat people with disabilities, and sometimes it's not good. I think that they are uncertain, have pity, or get nervous to communicate with disabled people. For example, when I was 15 or 16, my best friend and I were at the mall in the food court. Then suddenly a man walked up to me and put his hand on my head without a word to us. For 5 minutes, he prayed for me. After he left, my friend and I were thinking, what was that? We laughed about it. That was when I realized that I had to fix this problem.
Thank you, Paige. Carol, you want to go?
Hi, my name's Carol Grabby. I'm the Self-Advocate Coordinator in the South Region Wallingford office. And before I even got this job, I was working at Kmart for several years until my case manager approached me with a letter about this position being available. And so I have been a self-advocate coordinator now for 16 years. And I don't think of it just as a job. I think of this as my career.
Nice. Corinne? Oh, you're on mute, Corinne. Oh.
Hi, my name is Corinne Jackson. I'm a recreation therapist assistant in the South region. I work out of the Wallingford office, and I've been back doing my job for a year. And the best part is getting to work with these amazing, fun, brilliant self-advocate coordinators.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Ellen Haddad Blazes, and I also have the pleasure of working with Paige and Kelly and Carol each week. And I'm going to turn it over to Paige now. You can share your screen.
So today we're going to be talking about what human rights are and why they're so important to everyone. And what are human rights? They're principles that are protected by the law in every country and even internationally.
Human rights ensure all individuals have their human needs met. Human rights ensure or make sure that vulnerable groups of individuals are protected from abuse. Human rights give individuals the opportunity to speak up when they experience unfair treatment or abuse. Human rights encourage individuals to have freedom of speech. Human rights offer individuals the freedom to practice their religion or not practice any. Human rights Human rights for all, no exceptions. Human rights allow people or individuals to love who they choose. Human rights encourage individuals to have equal work opportunities. Human rights give individuals access to education. Human rights protect the environment. Human rights provide a global standard, holds governments accountable. Let's watch a short video to learn more about human rights.
From the start of our lives, because we are human beings, there are certain things our governments must do to help us reach our potential. These expectations and claims we have of our governments are called human rights. Every single man, woman, and child has them. Rights call on governments to respect, avoid putting limits on some things that a person can do. Protect, safeguard a person from abuse. Fulfill, to provide basic conditions to enable a person to achieve their potential. The most basic minimum human rights standards have been discussed and written down by countries. Countries have agreed to follow them. These have become international law. An example where human rights can be found at home is in the Constitution. Promoting respect for basic rights is one of the main purposes of the United Nations. This is achieved through activities of United Nations organisations around the world. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights is responsible for leading the UN's Human Rights Programme. There are also committees of experts that monitor how well countries put their human rights promises into practice. And there is an assembly of countries called the Human Rights Council, which discusses different human rights topics and situations from around the world. Find out what your rights are, learn more about the UN Human Rights Programme, and spread the word. Visit ohchr.org.
True or
Do you want me to read that one, Paige? Let's test our skills and see what we have learned so far.
let's test our skills and
That's
true
okay.
or false? Do human rights support people in society that don't practice religion?
Anybody in the audience want to answer that one? Can just raise your hand or. Oh, I see somebody. Is there somebody's hand up over there? You know the answer?
My hand is up.
Yana,
Yeah, it's true.
is it true, Paige?
All right.
It's true. True or false? The Environmental Protection Agency is not support by human rights.
Oopsie, that one kind of popped up.
Yeah.
But yes, actually it is, right? False. It is supported.
True or
And
false? It is. True or false? Do human rights support equal work or opportunities for everyone?
what do you think? Anybody out there in the audience want to grab at that one? You guys too, self-advocates, you can jump in if you'd like.
Can I answer it?
Sure. And you can answer
I
it.
would say that of course they support rights for supporting equal opportunity for work for everyone.
Yeah.
It is.
Ding, ding, ding.
True. Human rights. Why are they important to everyone?
Because they provide equality all over the world, regardless of your religion, your nationality, your sex, or even your ability. And lives matter. People with disabilities' lives matter. They shape worldwide attitudes to make humankind more understanding and compassionate. And last but not least, sorry, I'm having a hard time reading the slide because
That's okay.
it's blocking it. But
I have to show you how to minimize.
last but not least, you should always remember that people,
It's not the ability, it's the ability, not
the disability.
Yes.
Because your disability is only part of who you are. It doesn't make you who you are. Okay.
Well said.
So we have highlighted some of the people that have been instrumental in creating the human rights movement. So Eunice, excuse me, I am very sorry. So Eunice Kennedy Shriver was one of John F. Kennedy's sisters. Rosemary Kennedy, who was her sister, was born with an intellectual disability. Eunice noticed that Rosemary was being treated differently and wanted to find a way to make her world be more inclusive. Eunice started a summer camp for people with disabilities. And this is what was the inspiration behind what is now known to all of us worldwide as the Special Olympics. The first Special Olympics was held in 1968. Rosa Parks was can you guys please excuse me? I'm very sorry for 1 second. I just need to be excused for 1 second.
Do you want me to finish it?
Oh, no, no,
Do you
no.
want to
It's
wait?
just,
Okay, okay. Are you able to see the whole screen?
I can't see the one about Harvey Milk, but
If you
I
look-
can
if
do
you-
Rosa Parks though.
So Carol, if you look at the grid of people and you look up at the top, you're gonna see like a big box and another box, and you'll see all the way over a small where it's like you can minimize all of us and it'll remove those pictures.
How would I do that?
Well, I
I'm
can do
not familiar with
That's
seeing that
okay.
one.
We're gonna have to work on that. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead
because
with Rosa.
the grid of people is on literally my right-hand side right now.
Okay, so just do Rosa Parks and I'll do Harvey Milk.
I'll do Harvey too. It's just, I'll figure that out.
Okie doke.
So thank you. Rosa Parks was a civil rights activist in the 1950s in Alabama, when Black people were supposed to give up their seats on buses to white people. On December 1st, after a hard day of work, Rosa refused to give up her seat at the head of the bus. And this is a picture of Rosa Parks right here, not giving up her seat. Because she wouldn't simply stand for such discrimination. So her arrest is what inspired the Montgomery bus boycott, and which lasted more than a year and ended up with the Supreme Court deciding that the bus segregation was a violation of equal rights. Oh, okay, Ellen, I got it.
Good.
Harvey Milk served in the Navy, but was forced to resign due to his homosexuality. He was once a public school teacher and a Broadway producer. He was inspired to become involved in politics by his feelings for the Vietnam War. In 1977, he became the first openly gay man elected to public office in the state of California. This had a nationwide influence on LGBTQ rights movement. And in March of 1978, a bill on homosexual rights was passed in San Francisco. And this is a picture of Harvey Milk signing the gay rights bill with the mayor. Sadly, though, he was assassinated November 27th, 1978.
Famous human rights activists Susan B. Anthony. She was a women's rights activist that played a vital role in the women's suffrage movement. Her work helped pave the way for the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a civil and social rights activist, a leader that played a massive role in ending segregation. He dedicated his life to bring justice to the United States, and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. But
would
anyway,
anyone like,
add to the
sorry.
history we just shared, or have a comment regarding human rights activists.
So does anybody in the audience want to share a little bit? Yana, I know you probably have a lot of information.
Anybody like to add?
I just know, this is just a few of the people that were instrumental in this human rights. I just remember learning about it in school and how, it was just amazing and exciting. And I just couldn't believe that a person couldn't choose where they wanted to sit on the bus, and I went to school in the 60s. So I was still, it was a long time ago, but it still just, didn't make any sense to me. Does anybody else want to jump in and just share something about
Well, where I
people that-
came from in the Soviet Union, the country that doesn't exist anymore, we got discriminated against because we were Jewish. And here in America, my passport, it just says American. In the Soviet Union, my mom's passport said Jewish, and they could use, well, not my mom's, because my grandmother registered her as Ukrainian because she didn't want her to deal with discrimination. But my father's passport said Jewish under nationality, and they could use that to discriminate against you. Like, you couldn't go to a college that you wanted to go to because they had quotas. They only allowed so many Jews to go to certain colleges, so you had to go to college really far away in order to be able to get in. Those kind of things. And a lot of this stuff, the UN and the Declaration on Human Rights, started after the Holocaust, because that was a major violation of human rights. And in order to ensue that, to make sure that something like that would never ever happen again, they came up with Declaration of Human Rights in the UN. But unfortunately, it's happened again and again.
Yeah, that's an awesome point. Thank you for adding that. Anybody else?
I've been doing some highlights on my South Central group, which due to Black History Month. And I find it to be such a great learning experience for me, learning about all of the different human rights activists that I did not know that also had disabilities of their own that they were working with. And I just find it to be such an amazing experience. I've learned about someone named Diana Jordan, who was instrumental about the lack of diversity in Hollywood with people with disabilities. I learned about a couple, an Olympian person, I think it was Simone Biles, who had ADHD, and a couple other things. There's a lot of different people out there that I've been trying to learn about, and it's just amazing to me.
I had no clue Simone Biles had ADHD. I saw her perform at the last World Games. She's a gymnast, right?
Yep, she had that.
I had no clue she had ADHD.
Next month, we're going to be highlighting people with disabilities that, open their own restaurants. And so that might be a person, ladies, keep it in your bank, that you might want to do a couple slides on. So great information.
Next month, by the way, the 21st of next month is World Down Syndrome Day, when we get to remind people how awesome our friends with extra chromosome are.
Yes,
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yana.
Don't forget to wear your crazy socks for 321.
I have plenty of those.
Good memory, or good addition. I like that with the socks.
So we're going to switch gears, and we're going to do something called the Disability Awareness Pledge. But before we actually take the pledge, I would like to share a little bit of history about the pledge. First of all, this whole idea came about because we were all of us were really getting upset. We were getting frustrated because not the right people first language wasn't being used. And so this idea was created. And ever since this, I think what, 3,500, Ellen? 3,500 pledges have been taken?
Well, and at this point, I think it's probably more, yes, but 35 or more. 100 or more.
3,500 or more now. That's how instrumental this is. And that's how successful this pledge has been. And I just want to say, it makes me very, very proud that we have accomplished and come so far. So if you could all raise your right hand while I repeat the pledge. I pledge to advocate and accept my responsibility to be respectful to the individuals I work with and for, to respect and treat all individuals equally, to call each person by their name and refer to them as individuals, people, and stop using the word client, to support self-advocacy and stand up for individuals' human rights, to be an advocate for no more R word in my workplace and everywhere I go, to assist and make sure that each person that I work with can make their own choices and be a part of their community of their choice and feel accepted to be themselves. I will use people first language, which means seeing the person, not the disability, using words and terms that are easier for people to understand. To be an ambassador for self-advocates, speak up for people first language, and be the voice for change that makes people's lives happen. And Ellen is going to be putting the link so that you all can take the pledge and be able to sign it.
Yeah, I'll grab that in just a minute, okay?
Mhm. Oh, what did I do?
Reach for the stars. You have the reach for the stars. You have the right.
And to end this, I would like to share something about equal rights. But Ellen, if it's okay, I would also like to share the original picture, if you can all see this.
Sure,
This
yeah,
is-
go ahead.
This is a picture that is off my own bulletin board, and I just found this yesterday. And so what it says is what's on the slide: equal rights. All human beings are born free and equal. It's a universal declaration of our human rights that is from 1948. But I would all like to just leave you all by saying that we all have human rights. All of us, every single one of us, whether you have a disability or not. Our rights are what they should be, equal. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for any of us at this time?
Please feel free to unmute if you want to ask any questions as well. I can get us started. So I'm interested to hear the people that have alternative ways of communicating, whether it be through communication devices or something else. Have you experienced, or what has been your experience in any kind of barriers in your human right?
Kelly, you're on mute.
Yeah, I can answer that question. It's funny that you asked this question, Crystal, because when I first started this job, I was a little nervous and I would go to do a presentation like I am right now, and I would just lock up and not be able to speak. I would get a lot more muscle spasms, and it wasn't until the pandemic that I started doing voiceovers, because I had a little more time to figure out, okay, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna make it so that I don't lock up? And ever since I found voiceovers, it's made my life a lot easier. I can breathe. I can breathe a little bit better and try to relax a little more so that I can be a part of these conversations. And also, not just over Skype, but I also have an iPad that I now use for work, because I used to have to print out all the presentations, and I'd have millions and millions of pieces of paper in front of me. So I used to get lost and a little bit disheveled. But with my iPad, I can press a button and automatically keep up with Paige and Carol when I'm doing presentations.
That's great. That's very helpful. We've had a lot of barriers with my own son because of some different obstacles that he has to get over to actually use his, because sometimes he needs to figure out what he wants to say by exploring, and a lot of times people do not have the patience to wait for that for him. So I feel like that has been a very big barrier for him. So I'm glad to see that that's been helpful to you. How about you, Paige? Have you had any difficulties with barriers in regards to your AAC use?
She's still typing it a bit.
That's, we have time.
In 2010, my best friend and I wanted to go on our gateway trip to New York City. We went to pay for the trip and the teller said, "I'm sorry, we don't have a bus with a lift." First I felt horrible, but I talked to the dean and they got a bus with a lift on it, so I could go with them.
There you go. Yeah,
Awesome. See, advocating for yourself. Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that.
yeah.
Now, Sandra, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the name is of our guest on the top, but if anybody else has something they'd like to add, please go ahead.
Yeah, it says FM on the square.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
see that too.
if you want to share anything, please do. You can type in the chat or Um,
I don't know,
just,
when I went to an autism conference, but right before COVID, it was the first time I was in a environment that was really truly friendly to neurodivergent people. And it was a breath of fresh air where they had accommodations for people with sensory issues. We did this clap, the sensory friendly clap. I didn't have to ask for people to do that. They did it. They just did it. And they had another thing which I really like is they had a color coded sticker for your name tag to let people know if you're open to talking. 3 different
I
colors.
love
The red one,
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
the red one, if you don't want to talk to anybody. Yellow, you only want to talk to people that you know. And green, you're open to
That's
talking
really
to people.
neat, Yana.
That
That was
is
really
really
nice to be
neat,
in an
Yana.
environment that celebrated neurodiversity.
And you know what, Yana, I don't think that it's necessarily only people who have neurodivergent issues that would benefit from that, because you know what? I would love to be an event where someone gave me a sticker, because I myself am not someone that is necessarily straightforward and wanting to be in crowds and talking out to people. So I think that that's just so, that whole accepting environment is just beautiful.
Yeah,
I
and
love
then
it.
a lot of people think accommodations is only putting in a wheelchair ramp. There's a lot of
Mhm.
accommodations that people who are on the spectrum could
Mhm.
use, like sensory friendly environment where they turn the lights up or they turn the lights down and they make sure not to have any sudden loud noises.
Mhm.
Make sure to
There's
keep
so
the
much
music
more
down.
you can do. I love it.
I
There's
know
a
for
whole
my,
guide out there on the Autism Self Advocacy Network about how to have inclusive meetings.
Has anyone had a particular person that has influenced them in, who has been somebody who's influenced them in regards to their human rights movements or what they've done so far? I know that, you know, there's so many
That's a
important
good
people
one.
out there.
That's a good question. Influence.
That is a very good
Who's been an
question.
influence to Paige or to Kelly or to Carol or Yana, or we have Sandra or our other guest?
That's a very thought-provoking question to answer, but basically, you know, because I'm an advocate and everything, I guess excuse me, I'm very sorry. I never really thought of it, but I guess like in the back of my mind with everybody that I know that, you know, like Harvey Milk, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr. They have all been a true inspiration. But it just makes me more proud to be a self-advocate.
Tell your story about your teacher, the teacher that you had when you were in school.
I would love to do that. So I had a special ed teacher. His name was Mr. Shumway. He always had a phrase, excuses are the leaning posts of fools, because, you know, I mean, it's just excuses that would be made in the class. And that's how I guess that phrase came up. But there was something that happened. I was really highly overdosed on my seizure meds at the time. And I had to be wheelchaired out of my school, my high school. So that I could graduate with my class, he took time out of his schedule to tutor me at home so I could graduate. And I did. I graduated with my class, and thanks to him, I will just never forget him ever.
Yeah, we all
Oh,
need a teacher like that.
wonderful.
I had a special ed teacher very similar to that in high school, Miss Callahan, and she was one of the first to take my sensory issues seriously. Then she knew that I wasn't trying to get out of things. I just couldn't handle things like fire drills. The other teachers, when I talked to them, and I said they make me jump, and then I have anxiety all day long. Can I have a warning? And they would say, "Oh no, that defeats the purpose." But Miss Callahan actually listened, and she actually let me put it in my IEP that she would let me know ahead of time so that I wouldn't jump. And she let me stay in her classroom and do homework instead of going to pep rallies because it was just too much for me. She actually took me seriously. Instead of thinking, oh, she's just trying to be a brat and get out of going to pep rallies. She said, no, it's sensory issues.
Very good stories.
It's so
Yeah.
important too. I mean, I can't believe some of the things my children, especially my other son who is really struggling, has to go through every day because people cannot understand that he needs those accommodations to. Has there been anyone for
Is FM raising her hand right now? I mean, she's still muted, but I'm wondering if she's raising her hand.
Mm,
if anyone has any other questions, they can certainly unmute and definitely go ahead and ask them in whatever way that your communication medium is.
So have any of you heard of, of course you probably have, Crystal Temple Grandin?
Mm-hmm.
She was autistic animal scientist. She was one of the first autistic individuals to speak up at these conferences, because before it was all doctors and parents. And she was one of the first autistic people to speak up and share her experience and tell parents it's okay, stimming is okay. It's okay for your kids to be autistic. You don't have to figure out how to cure them. You have to help them be the best autistic person.
right. And we all want to be the best that we can be, right? No matter what it is that we have to face. You just try really hard to figure out what it is that you need and advocate for that and be the best that you can be. I love it. Lots of great stuff shared at the end. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Great job, guys.
Andrew, is there anything that you would like to add? That's okay. That's okay. I'd like to ask one more quick thing and then we could close up for the day. But now, how do you think we are as far as what work needs to be done in regards to human rights and barriers to human rights? Is there anything that we still need to work on?
Crystal, I will jump in. There's a lot of things that we still need to work on. One of them is trying to make more handicapped accessible places for me and all of the individuals that we support, not only me, but all of the individuals that we support more handicapped accessible. I've had bad experiences with my insurance company. Like right now, Crystal, and I don't mind sharing, I'm having a problem with my permanent wheelchair. I don't know if it's the insurance company or my staff members, but my insurance company is denying me I don't know what's happening, but there's a part that needs to be fixed on my wheelchair, and I've been in my backup chair for almost 2 months now because I haven't gotten the part in yet, and it's not fair to me because I want to get back to work at my actual office, but I can't go into work in the position that I'm sitting in because this chair does not fit me and I don't feel comfortable in it.
It's a barrier for sure.
Must be so hard, Kelly.
It is. It's very hard. I had an incident where last week my hip went out because I'm sitting uncomfortably in my chair.
Wow.
And they think it's my chair because the way I'm sitting is very uncomfortable right now. And I can't get, people are listening to me, but I feel like I have to keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. I've said it to my husband, I've said it to my staff. My husband even said, can I try calling the company for you? And I brought it up to my house staff and they were like, no, we have to call for you. Management has to call for you. Your husband can't call for you. And then I said to them, why? Because he's called for me before and they said it's a insurance issue.
Kelly, when did you hurt your hip?
Oh, Wednesday.
Was that a work day for you?
I was in work for probably what, Ellen, an hour.
Did you know that because you got hurt on work time, you could file for workman's comp?
No, I think I was at work for an hour, but because of my chair, Carol, I don't think that will workman's comp would be the answer.
I think the medical barriers are definitely important in regards to human rights, Kelly. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah, that's the only reason I suggested that, because she's not in her own wheelchair, number one. Number two, if she got hurt during work, she should be able to file for workman's comp, whether she's in a wheelchair or not.
She wasn't
hurt her
she
hip.
wasn't at work. She's just not, it's just really hard because the chair is comfortable. So she needs a new chair. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't at work, Carol. I got up out of bed fine. But what happened was my hip spasmed while I was on another surface. And when my hip spasms, sometimes I don't feel it right away.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't until I got on another surface that I felt
I'm sorry.
it.
Hi,
Oh, is that
Oakley. That's Oakley.
Hi, Oakley. Well, if we don't have any, does anyone else have anything they want to share before we end for the day? No? Okay.
Well, the North region is going to be doing a presentation on medical advocacy. We're going to have a date for that set soon. So I hope you all can join me and Kevin. Or Kevin.
Yeah, we really would like to. Yeah.
Yana,
I
can
would
you
love
send that
to.
out to me when you get it?
Yeah, we're meeting with Jenna tomorrow, so we should have a date, and I'm gonna work on a
Would you mind
flyer.
sending it out though? Would you mind sending that out for me? You're so good at doing that. I appreciate it.
All right,
And I
Paige,
want
do
to.
you, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Paige, do you want to share the last slide? But go ahead.
Me or Paige? I'm sorry.
Paige, did you want
Okay.
to share the last slide? But I didn't realize you were talking, so I apologize.
No worries. That's okay.
So thank you all for joining us today. This concludes our presentation. Our next one is going to be on March 8th on Zoom. Hope you all can join us. Thank you so much.
Carol, what is the next presentation on? Do you know the title?
No, I don't offhand. Do you, Ellen or Crystal?
Yes, they're going to focus
Isn't
on
it-
people.
I'm sorry.
They're going to focus on people that have disabilities, just like we were talking about earlier, but maybe we're able to get into the Olympics or, you know, and then also we're going to brainstorm, but I was thinking that we could also talk about local people in our community that are running
That would be so
restaurants and
great.
making stocks and doing things like that. So yes, we're going to feature
Like
it with
Beans
some
and
people.
Company.
Right. So
Beans
people
and
that are
Company.
couple people who are famous, but I really kind of wanted to focus it more on people in our community.
I think that would be a wonderful, wonderful presentation, and I look very much forward to it. And I want to thank everybody again for all your hard work and for all the wonderful things that you guys do. And I look forward to talking to everybody next month. So I'll send out that flyer as soon as it's all together, and we will see each other again in another month.
And I want to
Okay.
thank our guests.
Bye,
Bye,
safe
guys.
travels,
Thank
guys.
you.
And Sandra, thank you
Yes,
for
thank you
joining.
for
And
coming.
Yana.
For coming.
Yana
Hopefully
too.
we'll see you next month.
All right. See you all
Take
next
care.
month, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.